Hello all. Okay, so today I see that YouTube made a little bit of new changes. I think I'm live. Yes. Okay, so YouTube made a couple of new changes to their format, and I kind of like it because the last format didn't allow me to participate in the live chat, but this one does. Okay, so today I wanted to speak about these people are crazy. But I think it's important because I realize that there's a lot of new people who are being thrown into this program and they don't have a clue, like they just figured out that they were thrown into this mess and they don't have a clue where to begin. And not only that, there's also a lot of infiltration into this program. There's a lot of infiltration. So, and not only infiltration, hi, thank you for joining me. Not only infiltration, but also a lot of misinformation. So there's a couple of things that I'm gonna tell you in this so that you can navigate how to know what's going on. Okay. Federally, it's called phase one. Phase one is where you are being monitored and you don't even realize it yet. By the time you get to phase three, that's when they let you know, because they have no shame. They let you know that you're being monitored. Okay, so all you guys type something in the chat so I could communicate with you guys, because now it allows me to communicate with you in the chat room. Okay. So by the time you get to phase three, you actually know you're in the program, and by the time it's phase three, it's like the last phase is phase four, and it's like full on assaults, ground stalking, major slander campaign, being pushed out of your community, being ostracized from your community. You probably don't have a job. They've pushed you out of finding work. Your community doesn't believe in you. You're probably in a shelter. If you're not in a shelter, you're probably on the streets. You're probably sick, dying, ill. I mean, that's more like phase four. Okay. But let me keep to the topic. I said hi in the chat room. If you guys can make a post in the chat room, I want to see if I'm gonna get it from this side. Okay. Let me take a look at this online and see if it's letting me do it online, because it's not really, I'm not seeing anything here in the chat room. Okay, hold on 1 second. One second, sorry. Thank you for joining me. Okay, great. So I can see you guys, and I want to see if it's letting me, hold on. Okay, great. Yeah. So I can see you guys. Okay, so I don't see anyone typing in the chat room. Okay, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about one of the main ways this is done, and I think this is how it was done for me. Now, again, this is my opinion, and my opinion is how I think they successfully were able to do this to me, okay? And those of you who have been following my videos, if you don't know how I ended up in this mess, go and look at my videos and the interviews that I did and all these things, and it'll tell you how I ended up in this garbage, right? I don't want to rehash all of that. But I've discovered, because I started listening to different groups of people from different backgrounds, and that includes people from, thank you for saying hi. And that includes people from the street. Guys, you would be it doesn't mean that you have to be street, or it doesn't mean that you have to be born in the ghetto, or you have to be ghetto, or you have to live in the projects. You got to remember something about these programs, okay? Before they implement these programs on regular people, they are running a lot of these programs, and I know I am not making this about color. Listen to the wisdom I'm trying to give you. Before they execute these programs on average people, they're usually doing it to people in the ghetto. Okay, listen carefully to what I'm telling you. Before they do these programs wide scale on people like yourself and myself, they're usually doing it to people in the ghetto or people in urban centers or minorities, particularly people who look like me. You have to think about it this way. It's easier for this to be done against the least advantaged people, okay, or someone who's in a lower class, less financial status, less social status, because they don't have the money to defend themselves. They don't have the money to get investigations done. They don't have the education to fight this type of beast, right? That's the first thing you need to understand. And why am I saying this? Bingo, exactly. F2HTV. Bingo, you get it. Why? Ask yourself why. Why is it that they're doing this to the least advantaged people? Why? They don't have the finances, okay, to defend themselves, right? And anyway, so what I wanted to do, and the reason why I say that is this. I've been listening. I started listening to people from all sorts of backgrounds because I said to myself, I said, look, I got to get answers from somewhere. And I was like, where can I get these answers? And, I thought to myself, I said, people from the streets, they would understand stuff like this because they deal with stuff like this on a daily basis. Society just pushed them to the side and say, oh, you're from the ghetto. No one wants to hear you. Yeah. Innocent, blah, blah, blah. No one cares. And I said, you know what? Let me listen to the people from the streets. And you'd be surprised. You would really be surprised if you listen to, if you get past the language. I know the language can be a barrier sometimes because people from the street, they speak street, they curse a lot. Cursing is like part of the English lexicon. If you can get past the cursing, get past the street language and get the wisdom, not because they're not highly educated with a book and they don't have degrees and they're not respected in society and they don't make millions of dollars legally or whatever. That doesn't mean that they don't have wisdom. And no one's saying get involved with people in the streets. What I'm saying to you is this. They have a lot more wisdom, especially when it comes to these kinds of things, than you think. So I discovered this. And the reason why I know it's true is because of my last video that I made of what I discovered in my records, right? And it brought me to this conclusion. One of the tactics, guys, we are dealing with criminals. Criminals run this program. And if you haven't figured out that this is a trafficking program, you're in for a shock. Okay? If you haven't figured out, hey, that this is a trafficking program, you're in for the shock of your goddamn life. It is a trafficking program. Whether they traffic you into the prison system, whether they traffic you into the medical system, whether you get trafficked using technology for experimentation, or whether it's the more darker types of trafficking. And don't think there aren't victims, because I've heard of a lot of victims who end up in the dark aspects of the trafficking, which is the illicit black market trafficking, which is, sex, guns, drugs, that type of trafficking, right? The crux of this program is a fucking trafficking program. And that's the stark reality of this shit. It's just it. And the sooner you come to the conclusion that people are receiving money by selling you, the sooner you come to that conclusion, you've won 90% of the battle. I'm going to say this again. The sooner you come to the conclusion that someone paid and is getting paid for you to be in this mess, because that's essentially trafficking, okay? Someone's being paid and making money off of you, and you're not making a dime and you didn't consent to it. That's trafficking, okay? So the sooner you come to that conclusion, and I'm sorry, I'm speaking down, the camera's up there, I should be looking into the camera. The sooner you come to that conclusion, the better it is for you. Okay, so I don't know if you know about this tactic, but it's important that you understand one of the tactics they use. And I think this is a phase one tactic. Okay, what is phase one? Phase one is when you initially get thrown into this nightmare and you don't really know yet. You usually find out by phase 2 and phase 3. There are 4 phases under the Department of Homeland Security for this program. There's phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. Okay, phase 1, you usually don't know yet that you're in it. Okay, so what is phase 1? The first phase that the criminals, and I'm going to stress criminals, use is the tactic of calling the feds on your ass. That's phase 1. The tactic of calling the feds or the state on your behind. And this is what I think, this is what I honestly think happened with me. And the reason why I said that, Nicholas, this goes on everywhere. I am so sad. But what I've noticed, Nicholas, is that in third world countries, that this is going to sound funny, this is going to sound hilarious, but in third world countries where it's governed by the law of the jungle, they don't have these programs. Because, yeah, F2H, you're in this program. That's how it starts, and I'll explain to you why. But let me answer Nicholas's question. It doesn't apply to the US alone, no, because I audited down about between 30 and 50 countries, okay? And what I discovered about these countries is that the majority of these countries were in Europe. For me, the audits that were done for me, about 70 to 90% of the audits showed it was coming out of Europe, okay? The rest of them were coming out of developing countries. Why? Probably because of things like critical infrastructure and stuff like that. Now, what I've observed is that countries where there's the law of the jungle, America does not. America has some law of the jungle because we see some craziness that goes on in the news. Okay, there's some craziness that goes on in the news that tells us, okay, Americans can be crazy. But for the most part, America still has a lot of laws and they enforce a lot of laws. When I'm talking about law of the jungle, I mean like third world countries where you do something to someone, they retaliate. Okay? And everyone is like, well, you should not have done it. What I observed about countries that are governed by that law of the jungle, this doesn't really take place. You know why? Because people tend to be afraid of the retaliation because they know you get retaliated against. Okay? Okay, you see, now look at the thing with F2H. You mentioned Jamaica. Jamaica is a law of the jungle kind of country, right? And it's happening. Yes, it's happening in Jamaica too, but Jamaica is a law of the jungle kind of country. People find out you do some dumb shit like this, they retaliate. You see the difference? Now, when we look at countries that are structurally, that are very, very legal countries, where there's some resemblance of a law, you tend to find that this is like off the chart. This program is on drugs. Apart from that, the second thing I discovered is that countries that are shifting from developing to developed, okay? Countries like India, countries like China, okay? Some African countries. Guys, not all of Africa is undeveloped. The majority of Africa is developed, and you have your rural parts, just the same as the United States. You have rural parts of the United States. You have cities that are very developed in the United States, and then you have cities that are dilapidated in the United States. It's the same thing all around the world, right? Okay, so let's get out of that Western mindset. When we think of Africa, we think of jungles, trees, and people running around in loincloth. You have developed, and then you have developing, and then you have undeveloped. It's the same thing, right? Now, when we look at, I saw from the audits, these are the number one group for this program. The number one group for this program is developed countries. I've seen it with my own two eyes. I've seen the audits. The number one group for this program is developed countries. Let me tell you what they have in common. These developed countries, they tend to have, and this is going to shock you, they tend to be high trafficking countries. Sorry. They tend to be countries where there's a high level of trafficking. And that's when I made the connection between trafficking and this fucked up program. Sorry. I am very sorry to break the news to you and tell you that there's a correlation between trafficking and this fucked up goddamn program. I am so sorry, but someone has to tell you. Okay? That's just the way it is. Right? The developing countries, that's countries that's going from undeveloped to develop. That's where you get your India and your China and certain countries in Africa and certain countries in the Pacific, right? And certain countries in South America that are becoming major economic players, major economic blocks. You tend to find two things. You tend to find the development of critical infrastructure. Okay? Why is this important? You cannot execute this program without critical infrastructure. And the main critical infrastructure that you need is, guess what? Not electricity. That's one. The main critical infrastructure you need is a goddamn cell phone and cell towers, or at least satellites. Some type of communication that allows you to have a cell phone. Okay? Yep, a cell phone has a tape on the back of it. So some type of critical infrastructure that allows you to have a cell phone. Why? Guys, you're not going to believe this, but the majority of this shit takes place via your cell phone. Yep. Via your damn cell phone. Okay? This little computer. Okay? And you have countries where they don't have strong critical infrastructure, but they tend to have a very strong communications infrastructure. Okay? And this is why when people travel, they're like, hey, how are they able to follow me? How are they able to follow me when I go from this country to that country? Some say, oh, it has to be satellites. Yes. Oh, I have to be implanted. Yes. Yes. Don't let anyone tell you you're not implanted. Okay? Because I believed that bullshit for a very long time until I saw the goddamn implants. Yes, implantation is important because the wireless body area networks require that you have to have the nanotechnology that's Wi-Fi capable. It's called wearable devices. Let me write it down. Okay, so I just wrote it, right? They require you to have the technology inside of you so that whenever you travel, wherever you travel on the globe, they can follow you. Okay? That's why I tell you this is trafficking. Get it? Right. Now, it's going to differ. It's going to differ the type of trafficking. It's going to differ. Some people it's for occult reasons. Let's be honest. Some people it's for occult reasons. Some people it's for medical reasons. Some people it's for technological reasons. Some people it's for perverts on the dark web. Sorry. Some people, and I'm not saying this to be heartless, I'm just saying this because this is what it is. And I'm going to get back to the point of this video, right? Are you guys still there? At the point of this video is one of the tactics they use to initially throw you into the program. Let me know you guys are still there, right? So these are the different reasons. These are the different reasons why, okay? Now, one of the tactics, thank you. I need to make sure you guys are still there. One of the tactics, one of the first tactics they use, this is important, and this is why I made a video. This is why I made a video. Hi. This is why I made a video telling you, you got to get your records. Okay, you got to get your medical records. Okay, you got to get your police records, which come from the FBI. You got to know what's on there, guys. You got to get your police records or your federal, your FBI records. Okay, so the police go into the federal database and they pull your records for the state that you're in. If you lived in another state, go to the other state. Okay, don't just pull it for the state that you live in now. Let's say you lived in 4 states. You got to go pull it for 4 states. And make sure when they pull your records, make sure, let me write this down. Make sure they pull any sealed records. Okay? And if you cannot understand the legal language, okay, every state probably has a legal, every state has some kind of NGO or some kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Some sort of non-governmental agency that can assist you in explaining what's on there, okay? That's why I made that video, guys, because it's a shock. Listen, imagine, think about it. Imagine you're going to apply for a job, right? And the job asks you, especially if you're going for like a federal job or you're going for an airport job or any job that requires high security, like you're going to work in the post office, you're going to work in a federal agency, you're going to work in a government agency, local, state, and federal. You're going to work in, let's say you have a really good resume. Guys, the last thing you need is you're in an interview and you check, nope, I've never been arrested. And they're like, not every employer is going to be honest with you and tell you, look, we really like you. Can you explain this arrest? And you're there looking like a dumbass. Like me. Okay, because that's literally how I found out about this. I look like an utter dumbass as I sat in immigration like, I mean, I was just like, no. I was like, this is a mistake. No, seriously? And they're like, it's on your record. You didn't know about this? I'm like, and you know, you're dealing with officers now. These are officers. So they're looking at you like, is she lying? And you stand and you're like this yay big, you know? And especially, you know, and I'm going to be honest with you, especially when you're my color and you come from the Caribbean, and you're well-traveled, the first thing that comes to mind is drugs. Yeah, I'm just telling you, okay? And you're like, yay big, and these are officers. Immigration people are officers. They are federal officers. And they're looking at you like, is she lying? Okay? Luckily for me, everyone, the way they targeted me is they globally humiliated me. So wherever I go, everyone knows who I am. And they know exactly who I am. They monitor me 24/7. They're just like, she's not lying. You know, but still, they're still going to check. And you'll be lucky to have someone be honest with you. That's the thing. That's the crux. Because these things are done in a way for you to never find out. Let me tell you why, okay? At the height of this madness, I was in the shelter system, and I make no bones about that, okay? I was blacklisted, couldn't find work. How am I going to pay rent? And I couldn't find work. I was pushed into the shelter system. If I tell you what happened to me in that shelter system, they're going to be like, you're still alive and sane, okay? And sane. I had no other recourse. They were not going to let me out of the shelter system. They were not. I was blacklisted and I couldn't find work, so I wasn't getting out. They said you are not mentally ill or chemically addicted You're not mentally ill or chemically addicted, so you're not going to get housing. So imagine not being able to find work, coming out of working at the UN, not MICA, so they're not going to help you with housing. And I was living on $22.50 every $22.50 every 2 weeks. Okay? It got so bad. The directed energy weapons, the poisonings, they tried to jump me in the shelter system. They sent gang members, it's like female gang members, to jump me. I had to defend myself. And when I defended myself, they were just like, oh my God. They called me the crazy religious woman. At the time, I was religious. They called me the crazy religious woman with the Bible who would beat them with the Bible over their heads because they literally tried to kill me. You know what I mean? And then the social worker was just like, oh, that's just how they are. And I'm like, you can't put normal people with, these people are nuts. Not knowing, I had no clue that it was all orchestrated. I almost got slashed by a crackhead. When I called the police officer, I almost got slashed by a crackhead. And I said, before I have to beat the crack out of you, I said, let me call the police. I called the police and reported the crackhead. The workers in the shelter system said she did not take her medication, and I do not take I don't even take ibuprofen. They said she did not take her medication. And do you know who they dropped in the psychiatric institute? Not the crackhead with the weapon, me. If I tell you what I've been through with this program, if I really tell you what they did to me in this program, okay? I was being burned with directed energy weapons. There were instances where they literally tried to poison my food, and I had some good women in the shelter system knock the food out of my hand, and I thought they were like being aggressive, and I was like, and then somebody told me wait, and the girl, like when I went back to get more food, they knocked it out of my hand again, and she was like, don't you get it? And I'm like, is this woman crazy? And then somebody said to me, just let it go. And that's when I realized, she looked at me like, don't eat that food. Okay? Records. Okay? That's why I'm telling you guys what to do so you don't end up at phase 3 and phase 4. And by the time they get you to phase 4, you're more than likely end up like Janet Murray. And poor Janet Murray, she committed suicide. By the time they get you to phase 4, you're dead. They have the insurance out on you. I'm just telling you. They have the insurance out on you. You've been thoroughly discredited. No one in your community believes you. That's phase 4. No one believes you. You have no recourse. Okay? You're being burned alive with directed energy weapons. You can't trust your doctor. You cannot trust your doctors. You're isolated. You can't find work. Your career is ruined. More than likely, they have insurance out on you. And they're bringing you to the state where you commit suicide. And once you commit that suicide, they cash in on the insurance. Phase 4. That's why I'm telling you, get your goddamn records. Because the records will give you a blueprint of what occurred. Your medical records will give you a blueprint of who's involved, what was done, what's inside of you. Your FBI records will give you a blueprint if there's anything on there. It will give you a blueprint. It will give you a time frame. Look at the time frame of mine, 2002. What was I immediately said? I was like, 2002? I was like, that's when I was going to start my hosiery business. And then I remembered 2 years prior, I went to that business meeting. 2002, I went back to the same person. By 2003, the person that I was working with to start that business disappeared, and I've never seen them since. Records. Why are they important? The records will give you a blueprint as to what's going on in your life. Also, if you get your records, let's say you pull your FBI records, right? And there's nothing on there, there's no seal cases, and make sure it doesn't say no seal cases, but they had a seal case and then they destroyed it. Make sure, okay, make sure it says no seal cases, none of these things. When you keep this, it makes it difficult for people to go and put something on your record. You see what I'm saying? So when you pull these records and it tells you 000000000000000, right? That's what you want, and no seal cases, you keep it. So if anyone comes along and phase to you, which is get the record, get something on your record, and don't think for 1 second they don't pay people to lie. Don't think for 1 second they don't do identity theft. Don't think for 1 second these criminals can't get your identification. These people have hackers working for them that can hack government databases. Hey, Next Level, what's up? Okay, don't think for 1 second these people don't have master hackers that can hack into government databases. Don't think they don't have people working in, don't think they have people, because some of you think all the police officers are in on it. Not true. I had good damn police officers, okay, who was like, listen, no. I was like, okay, right? Records, get your medical records. Go to this website. Okay, sorry, let me write it again. Okay, go to that website. That website has all the insurance. You're welcome, baby. That website has all the, now this is not offshore insurance, okay? Remember, we're dealing with crooks. That website has all the US insurance that's taken out in all 50 states, okay? Now you need to go to that, fill it out online. Don't call them. The reason why you don't call is because when you call, you don't have a record that you called. Paperwork, people, paperwork, okay? Fill out the form online. It's pretty easy. You don't need to show a beneficiary to get a record if there's anything on you, okay? If you have more than one name, make sure when you're doing it online, put in your full name. That is your first name, your second name, your third name, if you have one, and your last name. If you have variations of how your name is, put in the variations of your name. You're dealing with criminals, okay? That database searches the entire US database, and they let you know if anyone has insurance out on you in all 50 states. I told someone about this, and they checked and discovered, guess what? A family member took out insurance on them, and they had no damn clue. And they're in this program. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? You're in this program. These people are trying to kill you. You can't figure out what's going on. And then finally, you made the connection that your own goddamn useless family member took out insurance on you. Okay? Took out insurance on you. And all those involved in the insurance scheme are out there trying to kill you. And you can't run to the police and be like, oh my God, my family member took out insurance on me and hired a bunch of goons to kill me for the insurance. Okay? Records, people. All right, so let me go back to this. So tactics of the criminal. One of the first things They do. And this is why people, or real victims, always say the government is involved. Okay? Now, the United States is a country, and I'm not criticizing this. I'm just saying this is a product of 9/11 and one of the, I don't want to say it's a law, but a public service announcement that's been instituted across the country. But you got to remember, everything that's legal on the books, criminals look for the loopholes. Let me say that again. Everything that is legal on the books, criminals look for loopholes. Okay? So one of the things in the United States that came out as a result of 9/11 to curb, what is this thing? To curb bombings, or I don't want to say that word on YouTube, but terrorist attacks. That's the proper word. Terrorist attacks. I don't want to say certain code words on YouTube. Is if you see something, say something, right? The problem is criminals are using if you see something, say something to report innocent people to the feds. You see the tactic? Let me put it to you this way. So I went to this business meeting, right? Someone wanted to get a hold of my intellectual property. So what tactic did they use to toss me into this program? To get federal money and federal agents, and to get police officers, to get federal money and police officers to keep an eye on me. If you see something, say something. And it's so funny, when I left that meeting, I was immediately told, Renetta, you're being monitored. And I was just like, I had no clue people think like this. It took me so many years to figure out what happened, because never in my mind I would think people think like this. This is why I'm teaching you to think like the criminals. I didn't say act like them. I'm telling you, think like them, right? Think, have the mind of a criminal. I am not saying act like a criminal. I'm saying think the way they think, so you are 10 steps ahead. You have to think the way they think, so you're 10 steps ahead, and you're not always catching up to their next scheme. You understand? I didn't say act like a criminal. I didn't say do criminal things. I'm not saying that. I'm saying think the way they think. We're dealing with criminals. We're dealing with the criminally minded. So, what's the first tactic? The first tactic is using the feds to get rid of you. Oh, but it's not the federal. The resources comes from the feds. Putting shit on your records, and those of you who are Christians and are accustomed to sanctified language, you have to excuse me, because at times I'm not going to speak holy. So just excuse me, okay? That's the nicest way I could put it, okay? So I just apologize right now if you're not accustomed to sometimes me speaking in some unholy language when I'm talking about some of these snakes. But anyway, okay? So one of the first things they do is they use the resources of the state. That's the first tactic. All you gotta do is make a phone call to the feds. There's this woman, her name is Renetta, and I think she needs to be investigated. I'm pretending like I'm on the phone, okay? There's this woman, her name is Renetta, and I think you need to pay closer attention to her. Really. This is just an anonymous call, and I don't want to say who I am, but I think closer attention needs to be paid to her, because I think she's up to no good. That's the first tactic. Phase 1, you're in the program. The government is not going to sit there and go, no. The government, when you call the feds, they're not going to sit there. They are not going to sit there, okay, and question whether or not you're telling the truth. They're going to deploy state assets to figure out whether or not you should be monitored further, depending on what the person says. When I left that meeting with David, the Snake Chesky, by 2002, okay, when I went back to him, I was already under surveillance. When I tried to start that business, the wholesale business, around the time in 2002 when this so-called record was being created, okay, what occurred? What occurred? They were creating a record. I was trying to start a business. My business partner disappeared. And for 16 years, I've never seen this woman. Right? Records. The first thing they do is they get the state. They get the state to see you as an enemy. Mine was so in-depth. Mine was so in-depth that it went beyond, and I do not think, I honestly, this is my opinion, I don't think this was a case of mistaken identity. Because I believe that the person who made that record, who made those claims, those allegations, knew me. Okay, I'm not going to go into too much details, but I'm going to tell you what I think. I believe the person who made those allegations, those false, fraudulent allegations against me, knew me. And I believe that during that court case, that the person that showed up, I'm going to be very honest with you, is they paid off a crackhead. I'm not even lying. I believe they paid off a crackhead to pretend to be me in that courtroom. They needed justification to keep me under surveillance. And having a record, especially some of the things they claimed I was responsible for, would be a great start. You get it? Get it? You see what I'm saying? Records. Phase 1, get a record on the person. That way you can use state assets, whether it's you come under surveillance by the feds or you come under surveillance by certain units within your state's police department. You see what I'm saying? Records. So phase 1 is making a phone call to the police. I don't think they go to the police first. I think they go to the feds first, and then the feds direct the police. That's what I think. Okay, I think of phase 2 for me, because the first meeting I went to him, I was under surveillance. By the second meeting, which was in around 2002, I was literally trying to form a company. I'm trying to form a company. They're trying to put records on me. And I had no clue. You understand? So by phase 2, which is me literally trying to start a business meeting, they're getting records on me. And I strongly believe that the person who orchestrated this, who came up with these trumped up charges, I believe this person knows me, which tells me during that court case, they paid off listen, on the official record, I can't say too much on this video. There's certain things in the record. That leads me to believe that the person who they had in the court impersonate me, or who they had, to impersonate me, I believe they paid off a crackhead. Here's a crackhead. Here's some money. Go into the courts. The judge is going to throw it out. I am not implicating that the judge knew about it. I am not implicating anyone else knew about it. What I am saying to you is, I believe the person knew and was paid off to pretend to be me. And I am not changing my mind about this. Okay? And there's a reason, I can't go into detail, but there's a reason why I'm saying this. Okay? So the first thing in phase 1 phase one does not occur without some resources from the state. Now, whether the state realizes at some point in time, hey, this is a waste of state funds, this person is innocent, which sometimes happens because you see sometimes in the news where the feds, or in my case, in New York's case, the NYPD says, okay, we were monitoring this person we were monitoring this group of people for like 10 years and it was a waste of taxpayers' dollars because they're innocent. And meanwhile, you're like, wait, I find out for 10 years you were monitoring me? What? You see how serious this thing is? In the news, you hear it all the time. The state comes out and says they were monitoring this particular group of people for like 10, 20 years, only to find out they were up to nothing. And then the group finds out, wait, we were under investigation for 10 years? You mean to tell me you were monitoring us for 10 years? It's the way it works, right? So what I discovered in lawless, and I say this like this because better yet, law of the jungle countries, which is, countries that abide by an eye for an eye, you tend to find there is a level of targeting, but the targeting is directly related to people involved in something. It is not either their family members are involved in something, they witness something, or they know it's a direct relationship to something. When we're looking at eye for an eye type of countries, right? Or lawless. We call it lawless. More like it's an eye for an eye. Like, you mess with me, I take you out. Okay? When we're looking at countries that are more legalistic, like the United States, where you can't do harm to me and I go to the police and then spend tens of thousands of dollars to go to the court to throw you in prison for 20 years and then pay taxes for you to stay in prison. When you're looking at countries like the United States, where they're more legalistic countries, European countries that are very legally structured, and you have, due process, in these types of countries, you tend to find that this program is through the roof. And that got me thinking, why? That got me thinking when I looked at the audits and I saw that the majority of my assaults are coming from Europe and less from third world developing countries. It let me know strong critical infrastructure, and it lets me know that this program is very much oriented towards using the resources of the state. Whereas countries where they're more retaliatory, like, you kill my family member, I'm killing you. I'm not saying me, I'm just saying countries where the mindset is like that. The program is not as prevalent. The second thing, again, the second observation that I made with this program is countries that are beginning to see technological advancement, where we see some countries in Africa and where we see India. India is a huge one for this. Why? Because they are beginning to become technologically advanced and they don't have, I'm not sure if they're very legalistic or if they're very jungle oriented when it comes to law. I don't know which way India goes. If it's jungle oriented, where it's literally an eye for an eye, okay, I don't know. India is a huge hotspot for this because they are becoming technologically advanced. The next one is China, is another one that's huge for this, okay? But the number one groups of countries for this program is still the United States and Europe, okay? When I was outside of the United States, because of the way they targeted me, and I'm not saying this to boast, it's just an observation. They knew who I was. There were some people who believed me because they're like, Babylon system is wicked. Seriously. Because that's just how some of the Babylon system is the devil, you know how they think, right? There were some people who believed me, and then there were some people who didn't, right? But what I will say is that he kept an eye on me, but it wasn't as severe as the United States. It wasn't as brutal. It was very subtle. Trinidad, very sneaky, very subtle. Like you had to keep an eye on people. You know what I mean? It was much more sneaky. Okay. So the other tactic. Well, it's not really a tactic, but it's an observation. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me just read some of these comments. Oh, how do you get your FBI files? You can go directly to you see, I should have looked this up. Give me 1 second. Let me just pull it up for you, okay? You could get your, let me just pull this up really quickly. I'm just going to answer your question in like 2 seconds, okay? Give me a second. It's called How to Get Your FBI, How to Get Your FBI File. Let me just, there's 2 ways. Okay, requesting FBI records. Let me write this for you. To answer your question, that's Lisa B. Hold on. Okay. Google. Okay, so Lisa B, I just answered your question, okay? Now, guys, there's 2 things I told you, okay? You need to go to get your police records, okay, for the state and the city that you're in. That's the first thing you want, okay? That's the first thing you want. What you do is you have to go to police, your city police headquarters. Okay? I'm typing it, I'm showing you how to do it. Right? For the police, because the police pulls from the FBI databases, right? You got to go to your city's police headquarters. What city are you in? You got to go to their headquarters. Okay? What city are you in? If you've lived in more than one state, then you got to go to all the states, because sometimes you may have gotten targeted in one state, and then you move to another state, and then it follows you. Okay, that's something that happens. Okay, and you can't just go pull up your record for the state that you're in if it happened in another state. Okay, and I'd be very surprised if when you go to your police headquarters and you get back your records, I'd be very surprised if you're being harassed like this and there's no record on you. I'd be surprised. Okay, so I hope that answers the first question. Okay, so the second thing is you asked, how do you get your FBI records? Okay, so let me look it up. Okay, so it says here, requesting FBI records under the FBI. Okay, so type into Google, requesting FBI records. It's going to take you to the FBI's page. Okay, and now, what I'm not sure about this FBI records, because you're not going through your police department, do it 2 ways. Okay, do it 2 ways. I am not sure if you requested directly from the FBI, if it has anything to do with open cases on you. Because one of the things they tell you is if they have an active investigation on you, they're not going to tell you. So go through, guys, go through your police headquarters, okay? And you probably have to pay a fee. And if you have any sort of disability or you don't have money and you have like a whatever, state insurance or something like that, or some kind of food stamp card or whatever, something like that, you probably won't have to pay. There's probably ways where you can waiver that fee. That's the point, right? If you don't have the money, ask them how to waiver that fee. Why is that important? Because 9 times out of 10, I'm thinking there's something on your record that's giving them the right to monitor you. Okay, that's the first thing. Let me see if there's any other questions I can answer. I mean, I don't have all the answers. I'm just telling you from, right, okay. They can't pull records if you present a passport. Gwendolyn, you said they can't pull records if you present a passport. Okay, to pull your records when you go through your police headquarters, you need to provide proper identification, okay, like a picture ID. If a passport is what you have, they can, well, actually, you know what they told me? No, they told me no for your passport. Wait, hold on, no, I'm wrong. They told me, no, that's not true. They can pull your records with a passport because I didn't carry my passport and they said, no, to pull it, we need like serious ID. So that's not true. When I went to police headquarters, that's what they needed. So I would double check. I don't know how it works in other states, but in New York, they need serious identification to pull those records, right? So I would take my passport, I would take my state ID, anything with a picture on it, right? Let me see. They can't touch your ID. You don't need to let it out of your hands. In Cali, they can only ask for 5 years. I don't understand what that means. Okay. I've had some strange job interviews in the past. It tipped their hand. Okay, so if you want to go... Sorry, I'm laughing at the next comment. I think it's hilarious. I've had some, strange job interviews. Oh, yeah. Strange job interviews where they know more about you than you'd like them to know. That lets you know that you're being monitored. That's usually when they begin to let you know, that's usually phase 3. Phase 3 is you're deep into the program and they're like, there's no way in hell you're getting out. Okay? What we're trying to do is we're trying to keep you at phase 1 and get out before you get into phase 2, which is like the ground stalking and right? And the slander campaigns and where they literally begin to COINTELPRO, right? Phase 1 is when they're monitoring you and they're trying to understand who you are as a person, and they want to know who your relationships are. Do you have strong family relationships? Because they need to be able to know what tactics they can use to break apart your family. Are you upstanding in your community? Are you close to people in your community? They need to know these things in phase 1. So they need to know, look, do we go full on scale? Is a slander campaign going to work against someone like this? Okay. Let's say you have a strong knit community. People in the community will fight for you. They will vouch for you. They'll defend you. Phase 1, when they're monitoring you and they see, look, this person has a very strong family, have a very strong community orientation, they know they can't just make up a slander campaign against you. It's not going to work because the people in the community knows you. You understand what I'm saying? But what they can do is plant some drugs on you. You see what I'm saying? You see? Like, for example, let me give you an example. You're in phase 1. You're a good standing person in your community. Okay, phase 2 is when they begin to deploy the ground assets, or more like the ground assets. Okay, they're monitoring you. They're surveilling your social circles, your family, your friends, your job, your volunteer work, your organizations that your partnership with. They're going through your banking records. They're going through how much money you have, your social status, whether you're rich, whether you're wealthy, whether you don't think wealthy, that's another thing. Don't think for 1 second wealthy people don't get targeted. They get targeted worse than we do. And anyone, just let me know if I'm talking too. Give me a heads up. Let me know if this video is going on too long and if I should stop it. Okay? Just let me know. Stop. It's too long. Okay? Okay. So what level of targeting? Okay. So for example, let's say you're wealthy. Let me give you how they target wealthy people. The type of targeting wealthy people get is that they infiltrate, whether paying off their family members. It's kind of similar to us people on the ground, but theirs is a little bit different because you're dealing with people who have money to fight back, money to get investigations done, money and connections to use the media, money to get people to galvanize towards their side. You see what I'm saying? So it's a little bit different when they're targeting people who are affluent in society as opposed to people who are living paycheck to paycheck. You see what I'm saying? So when they're targeting a wealthy person, okay, one of the strategies that they tend to use is they want to get control of their assets. Think of Randy Quaid and the video he made with the Star Whackers, right? Okay. All right, cool. So I'll just, thanks, Next Level. I'll just keep going, right? So think of Randy Quaid and Star Whackers, right? What do? They infiltrate your friends. They get people to surround themselves around your money, meaning your enemies are going to be the people. If you're wealthy, your enemies are going to be the people around you who they put in place to mismanage your money. That's the first line of defense, right? Why? You cannot have access to your money to fight. Whereas if you're from the lower end of the spectrum, where much of this program is designed for, if you're poor and you're living paycheck to paycheck, they just cut off your money altogether. Go in, slander you to your boss fires you, you just lost your paycheck. And then what you do is you blacklist them so you make it hard for them to get money. Whereas a wealthy person who has more money, more assets, probably have some offshore accounts, what do? They bring in people to get control of your assets. Number one, right? So the people are going to be pretending to be working for you. Meanwhile, they're going to be doing paperwork because you're not on top of them 24/7. Remember, you're paying them to monitor your assets, right? So they're going to be on top of your work, changing. Look at how, if these people could put a criminal record on me and keep this shit a secret for 16 goddamn years, don't think for one cotton picking second they can't change and turn over your assets to them when you're not looking. You see the difference how it works if you're wealthy versus if you're not wealthy? So the first strategy is to go after your wealth and cripple you, disable you, or separate you from your wealth. Then they can move in. Then the second strategy is once they've separated you from your wealth, you have no means of fighting back. Cut off your credit cards, cut off your banking. They're able to do that, isolate you. Then they can use the media to go after you. That's a strategy for wealthy people. The strategy for poor people is a little bit different. They could do all sorts of shit to you if you're poor. You see what I'm saying? All they got to do is study. The first phase one is studying you in your immediate environment. They can't do shit without studying you in your immediate environment. They want to know where you get your coffee every morning. Human beings are creatures of habit, right? They want to know what you do when you wake, the first thing you do when you wake up. What's your daily routine? They need to know that. Who are the people who associate with you? So when they start the slander campaign, they know already that this person you go to in the morning to get whatever, to do whatever, they know how to infiltrate that person. You see the difference? So that's phase one. Phase one. And they can't deploy phase one Guys, phase one is money. Getting you into this mess is money. Maintaining you in this mess is even more money. You see why it's trafficking? Maintaining you as an enemy, non-combatant enemy of the state is even more money. Okay, and depending on who they traffic you out to, whether it's the medical community for experimentation, whether it's the tech industry for advancing technology, some of you are being used to test 5G. Sorry, whether it's for online sex trafficking, because listen, people are thinking that sex trafficking in the 21st century is solely going out there buying women and men, or boys and girls, or young women, young men from third world countries, and then using them to make these types of porn. They're not even talking about, they're not even speaking about the 21st century sex trafficking, where they traffic you right in your home to feed the fetish of people who like to see people live in their home without them knowing. Let me look up this article for you. I forgot what they called them. They're called, hold on. So they're spy cams. I'm trying to find the, it's called, okay, look at this. A creepy website is streaming from 73,000 private security cameras. I made a video on that years ago, but I forgot the name of the app, okay? Let me read it for you. And guys, if the video is getting too long, don't be afraid to, I'm gonna answer your question in 2 seconds, right? If it's getting too long, just let me know, because we're up to an hour now, right? Okay, look at this. The article is from Gizmodo, and it was done in 2014, right? Okay, so what I'm trying to make you aware of is the new type of sex trafficking. Don't just think that sex trafficking is go to some third world countries in the Philippines or South America, and you pay a family $200 to buy their young adult because the family can't feed them, and then they sell them off into. That kind of trafficking is real. But there's a new kind of trafficking that the government will never recognize, and much of it is done on the deep web. The one where they spy on you through your technology, and they want to see. This is why I put cameras on every goddamn thing. And when the night is out, when the night is off, I unplug everything. But these, before Christians, cover your ears, because I'm going to curse these devils. Listen, okay? These people are nuts. Okay? They're nuts. That's the only thing I can say. Let me read the article, because otherwise I'm going to curse them out and then. Okay, listen. It shouldn't be so easy to peer into a stranger's bedroom. Guys, I'm telling you, okay, this is trafficking. Much less hundreds of strangers' bedrooms. But a website has collected the streaming footage from over 73,000 IP cameras, whose owners haven't changed their default passwords. And even if you change your default passwords, they have hackers to put in the software to hack passwords. Is this about highlighting an important security problem, or profiting off creepy voyeurism, or both? Insicam, I'm going to spell it for you. Insicam claims to feature feeds from IP cameras all over the world. Remember, those of you who have been following me since I started making videos, remember I told you about that app? And some of you were like, oh no, those people know what they're doing. And I'm like, you guys don't get it yet. You're like, oh no, those people know they're being monitored. I'm like, you guys don't get it yet. INSICAM, I just put the word. Okay, so go look that up. INSICAM, right? Claims to feature feeds from IP cameras all over the world, including 11,000 in the US alone. Remember the connection we made? The connection between why is it that this is happening in certain countries and it's less likely to happen in certain countries. And we came to the conclusion that certain countries that are technologically developed tends to have higher rates of this targeting program because of technological advancement. And they have more stringent laws, whereas less developed technological countries with more law of the jungle mindset, like you harm me, I harm you, you tend to find that this program is much lower because they know I'm not running to the police if you assault me. You assault me, my family's going to kill you. 11,000 in the US alone. A quick browse will pull up parking lots and stores, but also living rooms and bedrooms. Remember the video I made? And some of you were like, no, it's fake. I'm like, okay, whatever. The site has been designed in order to show the importance of the security settings. The site's about page says, whatever, that's a disclaimer, but it's also clearly running and profiting off ads. To be sure, the streaming feeds aren't anything a determined person couldn't already find through Google or Shodan, the latter of which lets you look for connected devices like IP cameras. IP cameras, as in computers, as in cell phones, with access to the internet. But the website puts all those streams into one easily and creepily accessible place. A lawyer tells Motherboard that the site a stunningly clear violation of Computer Fraud and Abuse Act in the US since it involves hacking into someone's password-protected account, even if it's a default password-protected account. It's unclear who exactly is behind the site, though the domain is registered with GoDaddy with an IP address linked to Moscow. Remember what I told you? Much of my audits came out of Europe. Okay? At least there's an easy fix to get your private camera off INSICAM, which is just putting a new password, but that's assuming people know the site's existence. What did I just tell you? What did I just tell you? Right? So okay, hold on, let me just answer. All right. Right? So that's something you have to be aware of. Okay, so that's just one of them. And I know because when I was out of the country, I had someone who was in security said to me, he pulled me aside and said to me, you know what, I believe you. You're not lying, because this person was in security. And he told me, I need you to see something, and showed me, went to Google Play. The person went to Google Play and they showed me a whole host of apps that was spying on people in their bedrooms, spying on people, you know, they had security cameras inside of their homes, and they were spying on them inside of their homes. Okay, so be aware of that. All right, so I hope that let you know, and it helps you to understand that this is trafficking, and it's not a type of trafficking that the federal US government recognizes. because the US government only recognizes trafficking in terms of the transshipment of people. Okay? Literally, I'm sorry, I'm watching the notifications. The transshipment, the movement of people from one place to the next. They are not recognizing trafficking a person in their home using an IP address, using the cameras from their computers, trafficking a person using the cameras from their cell phone. There are no laws on this. Okay? The only trafficking they recognize is transshipment of people from one place to the next. And these traffickers, they're not stupid. These people know the law. In order to break the law, you got to know the law. You got to know the law in order to break the law. So they know. They know that the laws that governs technology is not catching up to how quickly technology is being developed. They know this. And they know that the politicians, people, the mass, the citizenry of the United States, they're not electing politicians who are tech savvy. They're not electing government officials who are astute and are keeping up with the technological times. So, and not being disrespectful to Congress. I am not being disrespectful to Congress, but you bring this up to Congress, it's like talking to dinosaurs. I'm not calling Congress dinosaurs. I'm just saying, trying to explain to them like, no, it's like, you're not going to get through to them. Why? Because the laws for technology, it's like caveman versus the rapid advancement of how technology is being used. And the people and the criminals who do this understand these major loopholes, guys. They understand that they will never go to jail for trafficking someone in their home. They know they will never go to jail for this. Never. Because the first thing the police are going to say is, what do we charge them with? There's no precedent. Some would say, but it's some would say it's called revenge porn. No, revenge porn is when you know the person. Look at the difference. Revenge porn is when you know the person, or you may not know the person, and you take a picture of them in a explicit type of way, and then to get back at them, you post a picture or a video of them. The difference between that and this is that you are literally being monitored in real time, and you have no clue who is watching you in real time, 24 hours a day. You see the difference? And it's not revenge porn because you don't know the person, and they're not necessarily, you can't prove that they're doing it to spite you. See the difference? So these are the things that, these criminals bank on. So let me see if I can try to, let's see here. Try to see if I can answer. The shelter system, if you can, listen. If I ever tell you one thing tonight, is if you can, do not go into the shelter system. And if you can, do not ever go into the MICA shelter system, because that is crazy on wheels. Okay? MICA is mentally ill, chemically addicted. No offense to the nut house, but if you can, do not set foot in the nut house. Okay? I warned you. Okay. Okay, exactly. That's Gwendolyn, you are absolutely right about that. The issue is never call police. Well, I don't know how to answer that one. If you're in this program, sometimes you might be lucky, you might get officers who understand what you're going through, and they might show up and they might help you. If you're in this program, sometimes you won't. That's the thing with that, right? Okay. Okay, Megan V, I'm going to tell you about what I experienced at Weill Cornell. I call them, their legal name is Weill Cornell Medical Institute. I call them Weill Cornell Kidnapping Institute. When I was there, I went there to see a neurologist, and I had all my paperwork there, my MRIs, my letter from the doctor telling me that I can go to the hospital and see a neurologist and all these things. And they told me nope, because they already contacted them and told them. They told me nope, and already classified me as a nutcase. All the documents telling them there was something clearly wrong going on with me. And at the time, I was getting severe electrocution on the left side of my body, right? I don't have that anymore. And I went there, and then I saw two police officers signal to the nurse, and that was my cue, get the hell out of here. But I just said to myself, no, don't be paranoid. After that, they kept me there like more than 12 hours. Signal to the nurse, and he literally was like, that one. And not too long after that, when I was in the hospital, I'm not going to tell you what I saw that nurse do, because this is live on record. But what I will say is this: after I saw that nurse, transform, I decided hospitals are not the place for me. Okay? After I saw that nurse transform, I decided hospitals are not right for me. Okay, shortly after that, they kidnapped me and threw me, there's a video on that, into Weill Cornell Medical Institute. And they literally signed the paperwork. They signed the paperwork to 5150 me for life in upstate New York. When I called the UN, the head psychiatrist, I literally heard her say, get her the hell out of here. She's going to get us in trouble. And that's when I realized, I said to myself, this didn't come from the state. I said, because if this came from the feds, I wouldn't give a damn if I called the UN. I'm just telling you. Okay, when I called the UN, my former boss, I heard the head psychiatrist, she said, get her the hell out of here. She's going to get us in trouble. And she came to me while I was literally on the phone screaming, "Ah, they kidnapped me!" And she said, I'm signing your release right now. Get off the phone. And then before I walked out of the nut house, the emergency nut house, she said to me, I still think you need to see a psychiatrist for your stolen work 10 years ago. And overturned the administrator, the director, this director's decision. His name is Richard Cratty, Cratty, and you can go look at Weill Cornell Kidnapping Institute. His decision to have me sectioned 5150 in a permanent nut house in upstate New York. But it gets better. Before Mr. Cratty came to see me, who evaluation as to whether or not, am I still here, guys? Because it just literally, let me know if I'm still here. Okay? Can you still hear me? Okay, because it just cut off. Okay, great. Because it just told me that it got cut off. Okay? Now this woman, oh, thanks. Thank you. This woman literally came before Richard Cratty. Okay, that's the head of administration at Weill Cornell Kidnapping Institute. I'm just telling you what I've been through. And she claimed that she was from his department, gave me her card and everything. Get this, guys. And she's like, I remember what she was wearing. She was wearing a red see-through, light, colorful shirt. Okay, it was kind of floral, and it was a little bit see-through. She was a dark-skinned, heavy-set black woman, and she had black dress slacks on. I remember exactly who she was, exactly what she looked like. She gave me her card, but I can't remember where I put it. That's the problem. And she says to me, in Weill Cornell Kidnapping Institute. She says to me, have you been here before? And I told her, I've never been here before. And the security guard says, you're lying. And I look at them and I said, but what's going on here? I've never been in this hospital before. Guys, this is before I discovered my green card said born in the United States. And I discovered about this crazy fake ass criminal record that they probably paid a crackhead to pretend to be me. Okay, this was in 2016. Okay, I just found out about the crazy crackhead record and the born in the United States record. So she says, you've been in this hospital before. And I'm like, no, I haven't. So the security guard goes, you're lying. And I'm like, no, I've never been in this hospital before. Then she proceeds to tell me, oh, you lived at this address before. So I take a step back and I go, who are you? And I was like, how do you know all this stuff about me? I was like, who are you? Which means the police officers, unless she was probably one of them, gave her that bogus record. You get it? Now, this is 2016. I just found out about this bogus ass record last month. Okay? Now, this record has been on there 16 years. I didn't know. Guys, please listen to me when I tell you, save yourself. Just save yourself the headache. Get your fucking records. Okay? If you're in this program, pull every goddamn federal goddamn record you could pull. If you got to go to the damn CIA or the NSA and find out if they have anything on you, pull it. Because it will save you a lot of freaking headache. Okay? She says to me, you've been in this hospital before. And I'm like, no. She's like, you're lying. And I'm like, who is this lady? And I look at the security guard and he goes, she's lying. And I'm like, guys, I've never been in this hospital before. I'm not lying. She says, that's it. We're going to section you. And signed my life away. If I'm lying. If I'm lying, may the universe strike me dead. She signed my life away. It gets better. After this mysterious lady leaves, Mr. Cratty, the head of administration, comes down. And I'm like, I just interviewed with someone from your department. Why are you coming here to, he said, I'm like, you just sent someone to interview me. So he goes, no, I told you I was going to come to interview you. And I'm like, what? So I'm like, something's wrong here. This black lady just told me her name, told me everything about where I used to live, and sectioned me. And now you're coming to interview me to determine whether I should be sectioned or not? So he says to me, he says, no, I didn't send anyone from my department, because he's the head of the department now. He goes, I didn't send anyone from this department to interview you. He said, I told you on the phone I was coming to interview you to determine whether or not we're going to section you. He sectioned me anyway. So I get out. So I call him the day after I get out. And I said, hello, Mr. Cratty. I played stupid. It's in a video online. So you can go back in my past videos and you're going to find it. I have it on a video on my page. He's thinking I'm sectioned upstate New York. Meanwhile, I'm home. He doesn't realize that the psychiatrist was like, we're going to get this girl out of here. And it was 2 police officers who signaled to the nurse, that one. Okay? And then the nurse turned into the Incredible Hulk. I saw that nurse turned into I saw that nurse, I mean, it's funny, but she turned into Nosferatu, okay? The Crypt Keeper. That's the only thing I'm going to say. And after I saw her turn into Nosferatu, I promise you, I will never set foot in the hospital again. That's the only thing I'll say about that nurse. She went from human to Nosferatu in like 2 seconds, and I'm never going back in the hospital again. Okay? I'm from the Caribbean. Okay? No. Anyway, so I get out and I call Mr. Kratty and I ask him about this woman. He says to me, there is no one, because he's the head of that department. He said, there is no one in that department with that description or name. At the time, I remembered her name. I go, wait, there's no one in the hospital with that name or description? So I'm like, who the hell did they send into the hospital, into the emergency psychiatric evaluation unit to interview me, to sign my life away before he came to sign my life away? He says to me, there is no one in the hospital with that name that worked in that department with that description. And remember what I told you. After she came to interview me to determine to sign my life away to a nut house in upstate New York, he came afterwards. And I said to him, I already spoke to your representative who came here to interview me. And he said, I didn't send anyone. He said, I told you I'm coming to interview you. This was at Weill Cornell Kidnapping Institute. Take it with the way you want. Okay, so I hope that answered your question. Okay, so let's see. What other question you have? I answered that. Let me see. I'm trying to go back to see how far. I just want to answer some of your questions. Yeah, you got to make sure you pull any sealed records. We went through that. Okay. Megan V, where you said I was hospital as well. Witches work there. Yada, yada, yada. All I know is I saw the nurse turn from human to Nosferatu in 2 seconds. I'm from the Caribbean. Okay? I saw the nurse went from human to crypt keeper in 2 seconds, and I made the decision I am never setting foot in another hospital again. That's just me. Okay? I don't understand. I was at 4. I tried to hang myself. Did succeed though. I'm not sure. The bastards, I have to agree. I don't, honestly, in terms of trust, you cannot trust anyone. You honestly, like when you go through the kind of trauma they put me through, you always have to like this when it comes to people. You can't trust anyone. The best thing I can tell you to do is you really have to go back. I mean, and I mean this in the most respectful of ways. You got to go back to being instinctual. You have to get back to your instinctual nature, meaning you have to become very sensory. Okay, because I made a video about how some of these people, I'm going to say it again. I know it's funny. I laugh at it now. I saw that nurse go from human to Nosferatu in 2 seconds. Some of these people are some of these creatures are so skilled at cloaking. I made a video on that cloaking. Okay? They're so good at cloaking that you let your guard down and you begin to trust. And when they see that your level of trust is high and you trust them, that's when they come in and they get you. You really got to go back. One of the key elements of this program is you got to be instinctual. And by that, I mean, you got to be able to trust your instincts more than your visual, more than what your mind is telling you about a person, more than what your emotions are telling you. You got to go back to base feelings when you're in this program. I'm not saying a heightened awareness because that makes you paranoid, but literally you got to be instinctual if you're to survive this. Meaning you got to be like a lion. You know, you got to be gotta think like a predator. You gotta be predatory. You gotta be able to put your tongue out like a snake and sense an enemy. You gotta have the scent, the ability to like sense, like lions, sense an enemy. I'm serious. It's the only way to survive when you go through this kind of stuff. You cannot trust people like that. Right? So I hope that answers that question. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, so Gwendolyn is like, if you're homeless, ride buses. I wish there's something I could come up that, that's stable for people, because I've been through that shelter system. I wish I could tell you something that's stable for people who are in phase 4. Phase 4 is homelessness. Phase 4 is homelessness because they've successfully gotten your family to think you're insane. They've successfully gotten your family to think you're a criminal. They've probably paid off members of your family. They've surrounded you with criminals in your community who have technology through their phone, who are able to tap into the street security cameras and the cameras on the buildings and monitor and track you. They're able to monitor and track you using your cell phone. They successfully gotten you out of the job market. Okay, this is phase 4. Once they get you out of the job market and you can't earn an income, you become homeless. I honestly wish that, I can give more advice on how people could reverse when they get you to phase 4, because usually they end up phase 4 if you're not strong mentally, and by then you're mentally, literally, by phase 4, you are clinically insane. This is not a joke. Okay, when they get you to phase 4, it is very rare that when they get you to phase 4, you're still insane. You're still sane. It's very rare. It's very rare for them to bring you to stage 4 and you're still sane. If you don't have PTSD, you're a superhuman. If you're in phase 4 of this program and they successfully isolated you from the community, successfully blacklisted you, okay, successfully gotten people to believe the usual. You're a pedophile, you're a thief, the usual bullshit. You're a rapist, you're, I can't think of any more. You're a drug dealer, that's usually one. You're a drug dealer. I can't think of the usual, I can't think of most of their lies, but these are the basic ones. The number one is you're a pedophile, because the moment people hear pedophile, they're like, shwee! They don't even want to hear what. They don't even, the number one slander campaign is you are a pedophile. That is, no one wants to hear your side of the story once they brand you with that. Okay? So when they successfully get you to phase 4, there's usually two things. Phase 4 is they have the insurance policy, whether the insurance policy is kept offshore or you don't know about it. That's why you check that database, MIB.com. And it's 2 things. Get you into an accident where they kill you using an accident, or get you to successfully kill yourself. That's the end of phase 4. And once you die, they collect the insurance. Okay? Don't think they're doing this for free, my dear. Do not think for 1 second they're putting you through all this hell for free. Okay? They're putting you through this hell for money. Okay? So I wish I could do more studying as to how to help someone get out of the homelessness of phase 4 back into, the only thing I could tell you is some of the things that I did is this is what I did. I used some of the free online tools. Go to your library, Allison.com. I think it's spelled like this, .com, Linda.com. These are free tools that allows you to get skills, any kind of skills, okay? And the good thing about these skills is, some of the skills is if you could get a skill that just requires a computer, okay? I really hope this helps. In phase 4, what I'm saying is skills to help you make money, okay? You're gonna have to, if you're highly educated and you spend all your life working in an office and they've gotten you to phase 4, you can't go back to that, okay? Because phase 4 is no one believes you, Okay. And I was literally towards the end of phase 4. And I finally got to the point I told these devils, hell no. When I realized there were actual phases to this, and the 15th year, I was at phase 4 of this, which is they let you know, they mock you, they laugh at you, they put you through this humiliation ritual. Mine was global. No one in your family believes you, no friend believe you. And they were literally driving me to commit suicide. And I was like, fuck you, I'm not committing suicide. Fuck that shit. If I go down, you go down too, motherfucker. Excuse my language. You understand? I was determined. So what I could tell you is this. If you're homeless and you have nothing, if you could just get your hands on a computer, okay, yes, they use computers. Yes, they hack computers. Yes, they do it. But it might be the only means of you making some extra income. Learn some type of mobile skill, okay? By mobile skill, I mean some type of skill that you could take with you where you don't need to be in an office, and try to work remotely, okay? So that way you could get some money, okay? Listen, even if it's like, I didn't do this, I didn't have to do this, and I hope I don't ever have to do this. I'm not calling this for myself. If there's any way, there's a little boy who literally made a fortune recycling plastic bottles and cans, okay? Anything where you can make extra income, okay? Who cares what people have to say about you? This is about surviving phase 4 and trying to reverse phase 4. Okay, I'm serious, guys. Phase 4 is they are ready to take you out and collect that fucking insurance. This is not a joke. Okay? This is not a joke. The police don't believe you. They successfully gotten your family not to believe you. Your neighborhood doesn't believe you because they surrounded you by perps in your neighborhood. You can't go to a church because the churches are probably in on it and probably getting money, as in my situation. Okay, right? So if they successfully, and you're probably being roasted alive with directed energy weapons, okay? And I've done videos about how to help you with those directed energy weapons attacks, okay? If you're in phase 4, what I'm going to tell you is try to get some mobile skills, okay? Because there are places that have community gardens. You could do community gardening and earn a little bit of bucks. You could do some kind of remote work on a computer if you have coding skills. Any kind of skill that allows you to travel where you don't have to be in an office at a desk 9 to 5 can be a matter of life or death. Okay, and all it requires is you having a computer and having access to stable internet. Okay, so that can help you. Okay, so that's some of the things I can give you about that phase 4 when they successfully get you to be homeless and literally trying to cash in on that life insurance policy that they have hidden somewhere, right? Let me see what else. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, yeah. These people are blasted crazy. Okay, let me see. I'm trying to see if I can find any more questions I can answer before I go. Oh, the other thing that you want to do too is one of the things you want to do is if you can get real victims. It's very hard now finding real victims in this program because they have so infiltrated this community. It's bad. If you could just get a core group of maybe 2 or 3 people who can check up on you, make sure you're okay, you know, that kind of stuff, that's a matter of life or death, okay? Because if you go missing, some of you have family members that are in on it. So if you go missing, they don't care. You understand? They're like fast insurance checks. Okay, another thing too is women, one of the tactics they use, one of the main tactics they use is who you date and who you marry. Okay, so that's another tactic. All of a sudden you become the most beautiful woman in the world, and all of a sudden all these men are interested in you. They're all perps. I'm just letting you know. Okay, one of the tactics they use women is sending in their perp men. And for men it's probably the same thing too, but men tend to be more analytical, whereas women tend to be emotional. So one of the things they do for women is they try to get the women with these perp ass men. Okay, so if you know they all of a sudden you're really attractive, okay, no, you're not really attractive. It's just a bunch of perp ass men, you know. Um, okay, you know. I'm just laughing at some of the comments. Yeah, you see Australia. Oh, let me tell you something about Australia. I don't know if you're still if you're still there, T.I. Richie. Oh, um, let me tell you something about Australia. Hold on. I'm not sure if you're still there, okay? So T.I. Richie, I'm gonna get off because I kept you guys on long enough. T.I. Richie, Australia plays one of the major roles behind the United States for the wearable devices, the wireless. Remember I told you about the wireless body area networks at the beginning of this? Australia, the doctors in Australia, there are three places if you're implanted, where it's coming from. It's coming from India. I did not say for racists, because racists are going to think all Indians are in on it. I did not say the whole country. I did not say an entire country, okay? I am saying there are three places where this wireless body area network is used. Okay, racist, I did not say all Indians. And to racist, I did not say an entire country of people. India is the head, Australia, and the United States. These are the three main countries for these wearable wireless body area networks. Okay, Australia is one of them, and one of the two Australian doctors played a major role in implanting these people with this shit. So yes, you're right about dirty ass Australia with this shit. Okay. Yes, Babylon be dead, right? Let's see where else. Okay. Yep, that's exactly how it works. Right? Yeah, you gotta check T.I. Richie, you gotta check your records. Because if they're making these claims like this, more than likely they have a fake record, a fake criminal record on you. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. In order to get the public to believe them. Remember what happened to me? I told you in the hospital? I was in the hospital and this woman, who I never saw in my life ever again, is like, you are so from so and so. And I'm like, how do you know who I am? And then I find out about this record. You see what I'm saying? And I'm like, I've never been in this hospital. See? And then I find out about this record. So T.I. Richie, there's a record on you somewhere with something in it, right? So that's basically, yeah. They do 70% of this program is women and children. Again, you know? Okay. Yeah. And understand that your perps are criminals. Your perps are criminals. The degree of criminality, I don't know, but they're criminals. So you know that, right? Let me see. They're traffickers. That's why I'm trying to let women know. Look, people who don't understand this program are going to think we're all nuts. But that's why I'm trying to let women know. Women, if all of a sudden all these men think you're so attractive and be careful, more than likely they're perps, right? Let me see what else. I'm trying to see if I could. Oh, let me tell you the 4 states that this program is on steroids in. The first is California. The second is New York. And between Florida and Texas, they fight for third and fourth. So it's California, New York, Texas, Florida, or California, New York, Florida, Texas. These are the 4 major states in the United States. In terms of countries, the first is the United States. In terms of region, Europe is second, Australia is third, then you have the other countries. So it's United States and Canada, Europe, Australia. What does that tell you? Right? Look at that. Yeah, for DEWs, look, the best thing I can tell you is for DEWs is the detoxing. You got to detox that radiation out of your body, but you also have to get, what do you call this thing? An EMP device, not the ones where you actually get electrocuted, but an EMP device, because that really disables the implants. So that's something I'm trying to do for me, a TI community. Look, be careful with these TI communities. I'm being honest with you. Like I told you, I don't mess with TI communities, nothing, because it's too infiltrated. It's too many. They're not going to let a group of TIs get together without sending in perps, agents, spies, infiltrators, and pure crazies. So just be aware of that, right? Right. You're welcome, my dear. Okay, connective social. What will getting your records do? Again, your medical records. Remember what medical records are. Remember what takes place in medicine. For example, if someone throws you into this program for medical reasons, guys, that's insurance fraud. Think. Let's think for a second. If you're thrown into this program for medical reasons, right? And that's on your medical records, right? And you don't know that's there. They're collecting money off of you. Think medical records. If you're thrown into this program for reasons other than medical, let's say it's trafficking or it's to get you in trouble with the state, then that goes to criminal records. Why is it important? Because when you find out you have a record on there, like a criminal record for something you didn't do, if you're in a first world country like the United States or first world countries like Europe or Australia, that gives usually, because that's a part of the Five Eyes, right? United States, Britain, Australia, and I forgot the other two. That usually, especially in a country like Canada, that usually gives the state a reason to keep an eye on you. Guys, they track criminals in the United States. Don't think for 1 second, if you have a criminal record or you went through the justice system or you served time in prison, whoopee, you're out. It doesn't work like that in first world countries. America is not a third world country. If you go through that justice system, if you have a criminal record, if you've been in the prison, they track you. They track you, right? So why is it important to answer your question, connective social? What will getting your records do? It will allow you, because many people don't understand why this happened to them. What it did for me is it laid out a blueprint of who and what were involved and why. And it was able to answer some questions. Okay, and one thing you need in this program is answers, right? So I hope that kind of helps you. Can they implant you without your knowledge? Yes, I have implants on my left side. I have implants in my pelvic area. I have 13 biosensors in my body. Yes, they implant you without you knowing. I think it's my dentist and my gynecologist that did it. I have 13 wireless body sensors coming off of me. Okay, 13. So yes, they implant you without your knowledge. And for you religious folk, you're not going to believe this. You religious Christians who think that the mark of the beast, which is an implant, they're going to ask you for your permission. Think, when have you known the devil to ask your permission to do shit? Let that sink in, right? Okay. How will getting your records help you in the TI program? It lets you know parties involved. Think for 1 second. Imagine on your medical records, you discover that in your medical records, they've treated you for shit you never had. Imagine on your criminal record, they said, look, I'm going to tell you something. When I went to find out about this criminal record, there was someone there, an old man, who was there because he found out that someone put a murder on his rap sheet. Think about it. Think about it, right? Okay, yeah, Washington State. Oh my God, Washington State is big corporations, but I don't want to go too much into that, like Amazon. But I don't want to go into much about that, right? And Marsha, you hit it on the head. Many of the perps are criminals and former criminals. Just like I said, they paid off a crackhead to pretend to be me in court. This is what I think. I think they paid off a crackhead to pretend to be me. Okay? So many of them, they don't want to go back into the prison, so they shake them down or they blackmail them and they say, look, you got to do this, otherwise we're going to throw you back in the can. Okay? Marsha, thank you. No, I'm good. I don't really need anything. If you want to do anything for me, just send me a prayer. You know, I need it. That's New Mexico. Wow. Another one talking about, wow. Yeah. Yeah. T.I. Richie. I don't want to say too much on this. I don't want to say too much on this video, but allegedly, I will say allegedly, Myron May, allegedly, this is all over the internet, this is alleged. Myron May, who was working in the DA's office, was put on some very tough cases. Unbeknownst to him, this is what's on the net. So just do your homework about that area where you're in. Okay? Allegedly, he was in an area where he was put on a very sensitive case. And he realized that that sensitive case was a trap. And he kind of wanted to get out of it. And the sensitive case was in relationship to some kind of trafficking network. That's all I'll say about drug trafficking network. That's all I'll say about that. That's on the net. So do your homework about that area, okay? If you want to stay in that area, just do your homework, okay? Yeah, that's the thing. It is alleged that I think he shot up the school, and then, you know, he took his life. You know, really do your homework about Myron May. And, you know, he realized that he was working, like he had some cases that he thinks was a setup, and then he contacted several big TI organizations to help him. Really study what went on around that case. I don't want to get involved in that, right? So, yeah, yeah. This is on steroids in Marsha. This is on steroids in California. This is on damn steroids. Okay, T.I., I'm gonna tell you something about that, about when you travel. Okay, that works two ways. Okay, if it's via satellite, depending on who did it to you. If it's via satellite, they already know who you are before you leave the country. I'm just letting you know. All right, because a lot of this is on the dark web. Okay, some people can travel. Some people can travel, and people don't know who they are. But remember, when you travel from one state to the next, if you have things like a cell phone, remember your passport has to get stamped. They know your exit and your entry. So it just takes a while for them to regroup and then reposition their ground perps. That's why I said to you, Certain countries, it's less likely for this to happen to you. Certain countries, it's less likely for this to happen to you, right? If the country is technologically advanced, it will happen to you. If the country is less technologically advanced, it's more difficult for it to happen to you. You see what I'm saying? So certain things you have to play within your mind when you travel, like, you know, um, let me see. Okay. Yeah, exactly. All right. Okay, so I think I went through all the I think I went through all the questions. It's 2 hours. You guys were awesome. Is there anything you want me to answer? If I can answer it, I'll answer it before I get off. Um, let me know if there's anything you want me to answer, and I can answer your questions. If I know the answer, I'm not sure that I do. Um, but I just really wanted you guys to know how phase one works. Phase one is they report your ass to the feds. The feds take the call. The feds get your local police on it. Yeah, that's true. The nanoparticles. Let me see. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Marsha, thank you so much. Yeah, if you guys can just keep me, keep me in your prayers and good thoughts, send me well wishes. I need these things. Um, I don't trust anyone because I do not trust, not after the 17 years of hell I've been through with these crazy ass demon possessed people. One thing one thing I think you should really get is this. Hold on. Okay. Okay. So you should get Satellite AR on Google Play. What Satellite AR does is it lets you know all the satellites that's orbiting above you in real time. Okay, so go on Google Play. It's a blue icon with a satellite on it. It's blue. It's like a dark blue little square box, the icon. It's blue with a satellite image on it. And then it lets you know all the satellites that's orbiting above you in real time. So, okay, guys, I guess there's no more questions. I wish there was more questions I can answer. I thought this was really fun, and I am really, really, really glad you guys showed up. Thank you so much for showing up. I'm really honored. Trust no one because this is not worthy of trusting anyone. Thank you. Thank you so much. Guys, trust no one. Really trust no one. It's hard, but you can. You just keep one eye open. These people are goddamn crazy. Not not only are they crazy, some of these people are walking devils. Okay, can we get honest for a second? Can we get satellite AR? Oh, you mean private drones? Queen Yahweh. Private drones, yeah. Satellite AR lets you know all the satellites that's orbiting above you. Okay? The private drones, hold on. I downloaded this really good drone app that lets you know in real time drones were above your head. But the only thing is it only let me know that like one drone. So I got it. Right? Let's be real for a second. And I'm gonna use my words wisely, okay? The spiritual application of some of this, right? You're welcome, Richie. You're welcome. The spiritual application of some of the guys, some of these people are devils. Okay? Let's just be real. Like, this is something that I really refrain. I believe you. I really refrain from speaking about on camera, but some of these people are devils. Okay, I'm not joking. Some of these goddamn people are devils on two legs, masquerading as human beings. That is the nicest way I can put this. Okay, because I've seen some okay. I've seen some of these people. You wonder if they're not conducting. You just wonder. I'm just thinking out loud. I'm just thinking out loud. I'm going to put a disclaimer on this. Sometimes you have to believe some of these conspiracy theorists, who tell you that there are creatures that are not human, masquerade as human, running around on this planet. Connective social, you get where I'm going with this. You get where I'm going with this. And I'm trying to, Marsha, okay, let's put it this, you get it, okay? You get it. Some of these connective social, thank you. I'm not gonna say it, but as long as you get where I'm coming from, because this is a live recording and we don't know who's watching, and you know how people like to take things you say, bingo, and twist it and be like, see, there are not. Look, I'm gonna find a way to say this. Spiritual people, I found a diplomatic way to say this. Spiritual people believe that there are two planes. Okay? There's a physical plane and there's a spiritual plane. What do you call these people? Practical people, or people who believe in reason, believe that there's only one plane, and that plane is the only plane they believe in is what you can see. Spiritual people believe that sometimes that plane, that spiritual plane, can interact this physical plane, and they can come through the physical plane. Right? I'm finding a diplomatic way of saying this. And what I will say is, keep your prayers up. Always be armed with prayers. Always be armed with prayers. Because I'm telling you, some of this stuff reminds me of Genesis 6. Ready for heaven. Right? Some of this stuff reminds you. And let me tell you something, guys. Some of the Genesis 6 is rampant in New York City. Okay? Cities where there's a lot of commercial traffic, large populations, lots of money, lots of wealth, where there's a lot of power, you tend to find a lot of these masquerading humans. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it as that, right? Okay, ready for having? I am not a Christian. Okay, I used to be. New York City is a haven. New York City, and another one that I heard about is LA. That's another one where these masquerading transformers, run. And another one is Chicago, where these transformers run amok. Okay, where these transformers who masquerade, I call them the masqueraders because they masquerade as humans. Where these transformers, they run amok. Chicago is another one. LA is one. Yup, I heard about. Ooh, what? That's another one. Ooh. Marsha, you get it. I can't say it, but you get it. I can't say it, but you get it. I can't say it because it's alive. I cannot say it, but you get it. And guys, I think, this is just my opinion, a lot of your ground stalkers are transformers. That's just me. Okay, I can't go into too much detail as to why. You get it. You get it, Richie. You get it. You get it. You you get it. And I'll tell you, New York is one. Okay. Remember I told you about the hospital where I saw the nurse? Okay, New York is, but the biggest hub in the United States, the biggest hub for this, for the transformers, is LA. Okay, and California as a whole. I think New York is right behind it. Okay, but any large city where there's a centralization of power, where there's a lot of power, where there's a lot of, especially with this, guys, I know you Christians are not going to like this, but I got to tell you, where there's a strong religious leaning, okay? I know you Christians are not going to like this, but it's the damn truth. Where there's a strong religious leaning, okay? Because remember what comes with big religion. Big religion is usually big power. Anything that has like a strong religious leaning, where there's a lot of power because you're dealing with people, you understand? Religion is a major hub for this, for these transformers, okay? So think about the Midwest, right? LA is I personally think LA is like the head of this, you know? Then you probably have like New York, because New York is banking and finance and fashion, that kind of thing, you know? So that's another concentration of power. Wow. Wow. Well, luckily you got out, and I hope you got rid of the cooties that you got from there, Basha. But I'm just telling you, okay? Guys, I'll tell you a joke. I'll tell you a joke. That's a good one. Ready for having. I'll tell you a joke. I would tell a friend of mine whenever they would surround her, I would tell them, because she was like, it's so funny, because she was like, every time I look at their eyes, they look like zombies. So I would tell them, shapeshift, change form. I tell them, change form, command them to change form. Do you know what happens when I tell her to tell them, command them to change forms? Do you know what I tell her? I didn't say shapeshift. That's the wrong word, because I'm live. I didn't say shapeshift. I would tell her, command them to change forms whenever they swarm on her with that swarm intelligence. You know what happens when I tell her to do? She starts laughing and she goes, Renetta, they're running. They would hit the road jack. Isn't that something? Take it for what you will. But guys, it's been great. Thank you for joining me. I'm telling you, tell them, command them to change forms. Girl, she would crack up and tell me they would take off in a blast. And when she tells them, if they're 100% like us, and she tells them change form, they will usually look at her like, huh? Because they're one of us. You see what I'm saying? Right? They're one of us. So they'd be like, huh? But when they're not, and she tells them, I command you to change form, she said, they take off like shwing. No, don't rebuke them. Tell them to change form. Because rebuke them, you're telling them, get away from me, right? But what you're trying to establish is whether or not they're one of us. But there's something else. And they run when you tell them change form. That's all I gotta tell you. Make of it what you will. It's been great, guys. Thank you for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful evening. And I hope after they change form, you tell them the Lord rebuke you. Right? But be careful, Marsha, because when you do, they're going to run. They're going to run. Remember the movie They Live? I'm beginning to wonder if that's a documentary. But anyway, I leave it as that. Guys, it's late. Thank you so much. I had a wonderful evening. It was a pleasure being with you guys. And hopefully I have something more intelligent to share with you the next time we meet. It's been great. I love you. Take care of yourself. And guys, I want you to do something. If you guys can help a person how to get out of phase 4, you know what phase 4 is. Phase 4 is when they're ready to okay? Because we can help people getting into phase 1, but it's reversing phase 4. That's really difficult, you know? So helping people get out of phase 4, if we can do that, like share ideas about helping people to get out of phase 4 and reversing phase 4, which is you're getting rid of the ground assaults, you're lowering the directed energy weapons, you're trying to make money again, trying to rebuild your reputation, because a lot of people are in phase 4. And you know what happens with phase 4, and you know the end result, right? Again, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This was such a pleasure, and I'm so glad that my live chat was actually working today, because the snakes blocked it for like 2-3 years. Okay, guys, thank you so much. And remember, whenever you see your ground stalkers, command them to change form. Peace out.